Welcome. Crossover report here. Three guys, one mic. Today's episode bringing you a football edition on today's show. It's going to take a look at, obviously, this Sunday, big day in football. It is Super Bowl this week, Super Bowl week. And then, as we had said earlier on Twitter on our crossover report page, some exciting news to be announced at the end of today's episode. But as usual, Paul Lamb, Nick Damiani, and then we bring in our football side of the operations here at Crossover Report, our very own Mike Millsaps, who runs the Gridiron Report for us on the Crossover Report side. Millsaps bringing him on for our first episode here, Three Guys, One Mike. Got to bring him in when we're talking football, so going to be a fun show. Obviously, Super Bowl week, there's a lot of stuff going on. The matchup, obviously, Denver Broncos going up against the Carolina Panthers. Both teams the number one seeds on their respective sides of the conference. But, kind of interesting on Denver's case, they are the one seed coming in the AFC, but, a lot of questions have been asked in their first game of the playoffs, barely getting by a banged-up Pittsburgh team. And obviously in the AFC Championship round, were underdogs at home against a New England Patriots team that people thought could have and probably should have beat Denver, but Denver, one of the best defenses in the league, able to grind it out. And then a little bit of an opposite for Carolina, who has been one of the most dominant teams all season long. And for them, really kind of dominated in the playoffs, really banged up on the Seahawks, who kind of came back late in that game, but dominated that win. And obviously, 2 weeks ago in the NFC Championship, dominated Arizona. So not really a shocker, to say the least, that these two teams are in the Super Bowl, but in your guys' minds, as right before the playoffs started, were these two teams that you thought were going to be playing this week in the Super Bowl? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think NFC-wise, I'm not surprised the Panthers are there. They've been the best team all year. But in the AFC, I did think it was going to be the Patriots coming out. I was really surprised at how well that Broncos defense played against the Patriots in the conference championship with DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller. I mean, it seemed like they were on Brady's ass every play pretty much. Granted, banged up offensive line for the Patriots, but still, they really stepped up defensively. Offensively, they did enough, and I think that's going to be the story going into the Super Bowl, too. They just have to do enough, let the defense do their work. Nick, Millsy?
Yeah, I'll just echo Paul's statement that the Carolina, they've 15-1, talk of the town. It's no surprise that they made it through, especially with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers looking like they have the entire season. So in the NFC, it wasn't really a surprise, but I think everybody was pretty shocked about the Broncos, especially with all the concern going with Peyton Manning and whether his arm was even close enough and the plantar fasciitis injury. The fact that he's been able to come in and just, Alex Smith it with that defense, it really just kind of brings that point home that defense can definitely bring you to some success.
Yeah, I agree with what both of them were saying. In the NFC, I'm not surprised Panthers made it out of there. I'm surprised in the fashion they did it, just like those hot starts they got off to in both their games. I mean, they beat the living crap out of Arizona. I think Arizona losing the Honey Badger was huge for them. You saw them just get picked apart by Cam. But then when we go over to the AFC side, I was one of those New England supporters. Tom Brady, my fantasy quarterback, had a hell of a year. So I caught a lot of Patriots games this year. So I really didn't think the Broncos pass rush was really going to get to him like they did, because he's usually so quick with his release that nobody has time to even touch him. But, I mean, I guess Talib and the defensive backs of Denver did a great job against him. And granted, a lot of the Patriots were still banged up. I think a fully healthy Patriots team would be by far the best team in the NFL. Yeah, you heard that. Yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Well, and as we come into this game, it's been a lot of talk, both teams with strong defenses. Offensively, though, it's a very different story when you look at these two quarterbacks coming into this game. The largest age gap ever for two starting quarterbacks coming into a Super Bowl. You've got the older age, and Peyton Manning at 39, the old age of quarterback who, has had a hell of a career, fourth appearance this week in the Super Bowl. He's a 5-time MVP. He's won one Super Bowl. And then you look at Cam with his first appearance ever at age 26, and then the numbers just totally different on the year. You're having a MVP most likely candidate in Cam Newton, who threw 35 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions on the season. Most likely Saturday is when they announce the MVP. A lot of people are thinking it's for sure going to go to Cam. And then when you look at Peyton, it's just been, he's older and he had a rough regular season, only had 9 passing touchdowns, had 17 interceptions. But Gary Kubiak stuck with him in the playoffs. He hasn't done anything special in the playoffs, but what we've seen Peyton do is he's understood that, it's not going to be him throwing the football. This is a run-first team, and he trusts his defense to go out there. So it's interesting to look at these two guys coming in. And then the question I think I want to ask you guys is, and it's been a lot of talk over the last week or so, will this be Peyton Manning's last game? He's already won 1 Super Bowl. Most likely Denver, I'd be really shocked if they decide to go with him again next year. Do you guys think he finished his career, win or lose after this Sunday's game, or do you see him possibly trying to stick it out one more season, if not with Denver, maybe another team?
Yeah, I think he's definitely done win or loss after this year. I mean, like you said, 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions doesn't get the job done on any NFL team, let alone a Super Bowl caliber team like this. I mean, Osweiler did a nice job, and I think they could get solid play out of him for a couple years. If he doesn't work out, they can always draft somebody. But I think Peyton Manning will be the first to tell you he didn't play good enough to start for this team, and I think he doesn't have anything left in the tank. So great career for him, but win or loss, I think it's his time. He's done.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going a different direction with that, actually. I think it's his last year in Denver, definitely. But if he can get a good situation with a team that could be playoff caliber, that could be championship caliber, I don't see why he wouldn't play 1 or 2 more years. If he can get back, if he can feel like he's back in shape. Remember, he was injured a lot last year. He was injured a lot this year. So if he's not dealing with plantar fascia in his foot, he's gonna have a torn hamstring or whatever he had last year. I don't see why he couldn't play 1 or 2 more years. What, Nick?
What team would he play for?
I don't know. To be honest, I didn't research that. I didn't research this nearly enough.
She's pulling stuff out of her butt now.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying, if an opportunity arose and he could go to a playoff team, you don't know what's going to happen. If
somebody gets hurt?
Somebody gets hurt in the off season. If he could go to a playoff team and compete next year, I think he could play 1 or 2 more seasons. I mean, his neck is like 100% steel at this point, so that's not a worry. He's got the biggest head in the league. He's not going to get any more concussions.
Can barely throw 5 yards.
No, right. I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he should play another year. But Brett Favre played 5 years too long. Kobe played 2 years too long. Not that he should play another year, but I'm not going to be surprised.
Brett Favre was pretty decent, though, towards the end still.
He really wasn't. He really wasn't.
With the Vikings?
He had like a 4,500-yard season and like 30 touchdowns.
He was good.
He was not good after.
Oh, he was good.
With the Jets, he was good. You want to sit
he
there?
Was awful with the Jets.
Okay, so what are we talking about? He had that one good throw on the Vikings in Week 1. In Week 1, he had 1 Hail Mary, and so all of a sudden, all the weeks after, he was great.
The only reason this team made the playoffs because that defense was phenomenal. This is like that Bears team that went to the Super Bowl. Defense was phenomenal, but
so if he can go on a team that has a great defense and it has a good running back, and he only has to throw the ball 18, 20 times a game, when you want him as your quarterback just because of his mind.
I couldn't think of a team like that right now besides the Broncos, but they don't got a good running back. I mean,
right, but I'm just saying, if that opportunity arose somewhere in the league, I would not be surprised if he plays 1 or 2 more years.
Millsy, what are you thinking?
I think he's done. I mean, I don't know if you guys have even seen the news, but Belichick said that Peyton went up to him, or the mics caught it, that he said, "This might be my last rodeo." And, it's been a pleasure. And I think, rain or shine, when Super Bowl Sunday comes, I think he's done. He just physically can't do it anymore. And I don't think teams are going to be searching for him as anything other than a leadership position. I don't think they want that arm anymore.
Well, regardless of if he maybe tries to stick it out another year or if he calls it quits, at the end of this game, still an amazing year for Peyton Manning, 5-time MVP. It's his 4th appearance to a Super Bowl. He's already won 1. So I think if he wins it, I think he calls it quits. I still think if he loses, it just adds a lot. I don't know who's going to go out and get him, but you never know with Peyton. It should be interesting to watch. As we said, Super Bowl week, doing some Super Bowl predictions. First ever football video here for 3 Guys, 1 Mic. Have our football expert, Mike Millsaps, on with us. You can follow us at Crossover Report. You can follow our football account, Gridirion Report, at NFL_CR. So then let's get into the big thing we want to get into. Who do we think's winning this game? Our predictions. Games at Sunday, 5:30 Central kickoff out in California at Levi Stadium. As of today, I saw I think Carolina was a 6-point favorite, which some people think is high for a Super Bowl, but with how well they've been dominating in the playoffs and pretty much the whole season, some people think it's okay. Let's get into it. Let's start off with our football analyst here, Mr. Millsaps. What is your prediction for Sunday's game?
Well, the fact that I knew the line was -6 for the Panthers, and my wallet currently has some tied-up money, lends me to go to the Panthers. I don't think there's a chance that Carolina doesn't win by at least 17 points. I'm going that far. Their offense is just that good. And the fact that Cam Newton's a mobile quarterback, that's just going to just completely shut down, to the best that you can, Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, because they can't just tee off. They have to set the perimeter. So that secondary is going to have to play the game of their lives, because they're not going to get much help from Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. And the fact that I think the Panthers are going to score that many points, I don't know if Peyton Manning's arm can get you that many points. Unless he throws his arm out like it's an epic movie, made by, ABC Family, I don't think it's going to be anything close. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Panthers, probably 34-17.
Paulie?
I don't know. This is hard. I think if the Panthers can score over 17 or 20 points, I think they're going to win, because the Broncos are just not going to get that high. The Broncos, though, can get 1 or 2 defensive touchdowns. It could be close. I think one thing that defense does really good is that they don't only put pressure on the quarterback, but they collapse that pocket. So, yeah, Cam obviously is a lot more mobile than, like, Tom Brady is. But I think the thing with Brady was there was nowhere to go. So even if he was a great athlete, there was nowhere to go. So if they can do that again against the Panthers, I think it'll be interesting. But all that being said, I'm not going to be surprised when this game is like a 24-point blowout at halftime for the Panthers. It's got to be a low-scoring game for the Broncos to win. They have to get at least 2 defensive or special team touchdowns, because offensively I can't see them getting more than 10 or 13 points. So, yeah, I'm going Panthers.
Nick? Yeah, I agree with everything Paul said there. I mean, you got 2 great defenses, but the difference is obviously on offense. But, I mean, granted, Denver's secondary, I think they could definitely stay with the wide receivers of Carolina. I'm not worried about Ted Ginn or Philly Brown, maybe Greg Olsen, RIP Chicago Bears, which is another thing. I had a tough time deciding on this because, I mean, if you're a Bears fan, I think you got to want the Panthers to win right here. You got Greg Olsen, Ron Rivera, Charles Tillman, all of them. You're like, that's kind of like a little win for us. But then again, you want to see Peyton Manning go out right, but I mean, everything's pointing to the Panthers here, unless, like Millsap said, it's like a Lifetime movie or something where he plays his heart out. I mean, it is the Super Bowl. Cam Newton is the biggest, and he played great in his BCS game. But, I mean, anything can happen here, but I'm going to go with the Panthers. I just think their offense compared to Denver's offense is just – it's not even close. I mean, I think the game will be closer, though, because I was reading something the other day saying Super Bowls are getting closer and closer these days. Also, did you watch the Madden simulation? They had Cam Newton running in the touchdown with like 40 seconds left. They were almost dead on last year.
Hey.
Glad you're reading now.
Yeah, great. Glad you're doing your research there, Dom. I'm going to go Carolina. I think their offensive game has just been too strong in the playoffs. I think they get up early in this game, but Carolina's known to give up some leads when it comes down late. So I think it's going to be a closer game than what people think, but I definitely think the X factor is going to be Cam's ability to run the football. Yes, Denver's got a great defense. They rush the passer well, but what they do is they do a good job of rushing the passers from the outside. I think Cam's going to have abilities to run up the middle, out of the gun, and create plays with his legs. So I think that's the big difference. I have Carolina winning at 31-27. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think Denver comes back towards the end of the game. The Panthers all year have given up leads late, but I think they get up way too big early, and Cam will get his first Super Bowl. So our strong predictions here. Did everyone go Carolina? Nick,
24-21. That's my numbers.
Okay, so we have all 4, I think, Panthers here were our predictions. As we said, Super Bowl, obviously this week, this Sunday, 5:30 Central kickoff out at Levi Stadium.
February 7th, baby.
And as we get ready to sign off, as we said earlier on Twitter, some exciting news here at Crossover Report. Proud to announce that Crossover Report will be making another expansion as we add the walk-off report here at Crossover Report. We'll be covering everything baseball. We welcome 4 new guys on to help us with that. That is Ben Dayton, Connor O'Neill, Kyle Schultz, and then our very own Ryan Kelly. All 4 of those guys are very wise when it comes to the baseball field of experts. And as we always say here at Crossover Report, occasionally witty, but always relevant news, notes, and discussion. So we're excited to add that. Our first ever football video today. We had our very own Mike Millsaps on for the first time. We love having Millsy on. He's been doing some good things for us on the football side. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Super Bowl right around the corner. Had to get some predictions out for you today. Any last notes here, boys, before we sign off?
Breaking news, Lady Gaga singing the national anthem.
There we go. That was Lady Gaga.
Yep.
Wow.
That's
Nick, Paul,
everybody have a good day.
Okay. Thanks.
I got nothing, no.
All right, that's going to end it for today's episode. Crossover Report, football side. As we just want to remind you, you can always follow us on Twitter at Crossover Report, our football side, Gridiron Report at NFL_CR, and our very new baseball site we have, Walkover Report. You can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, check us out at crossoverreport.com. That's going to do it for us. Paul Lamb, Nick Damiani, Mike Millsaps, I'm Neil Doyle. Thanks for listening. Crossover Report, 3 guys, 1 mic. We'll see you next time.